start. It is Wednesday, and it's the 13th, isn't it?
Down there.
It's not Friday the 13th at least. Hopefully the storms are over.
Oh, geez. My poor dog last night, or early this morning.
I know, it's so loud. Yeah, so funny, so loud, and yet it was the other one that actually did damage. And so calling insurance company again for me. Sit comfortably. They won't add to the claim. You have to start a new one.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So let your eyes gently close and just enjoy really feeling that sense of lengthening upwards so you feel space in your spine. It's easier to breathe when you sit up tall. And you can feel the belly expanding when you breathe in. Know if you're comfortable to let your breath come in towards those three parts. You can inhale into your belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And then just release your arms on out beside you and let your hands circle around a little bit, just feeling your wrists and feel your fingers too. You can kind of wiggle your fingers a bit as you circle, and then just reverse and go the other way. And now come on up into your arms. So as you start to rotate, let your thumbs come down and your pinky fingers come forward. You can even look down a little bit, round a little bit forward with your shoulders. And then start to reverse that. So you start to turn the hands the other way, palms forward, and then pinkies forward. So you're actually coming up into the shoulders here. So again, letting the hands reverse and come down and then around pinkies forward so your shoulders roll forward. And then go ahead and go the other way again. And then just one more time, letting yourself move through, up into your shoulders, reversing and going the other way. And then let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And once your hands are there, just focus on your fingers for a second. Let your pointer fingers come a little bit apart. And then let them reconnect so you're aware of that connection there. And then go to your middle fingers separating a little bit. And then just easily let them come back gently together. And then let your ring fingers come apart a little bit. And then let them come back again together. And now your pinky fingers are going to separate a little bit. And then let them come back to meet. And now your thumbs just a little bit, probably not as much. And then let the thumbs come back. Spread your fingers a little bit. Feel your hands there. In fact, press just a little bit more firmly into your hands there. And then let's inhale the hands right back up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. And then shake your arms out a little bit. Kind of warmed up there. And now, if you're on the floor, you're going to stretch your right leg long, but you're going to keep your left leg bent like this. So you'll have your leg long, but have this leg here because we're going to come forward a little bit. And if you're in your chair, come towards the front of the seat of the chair and do the same thing. Stretch your right leg forward. And we're all going to come just a little bit forward. So if you're in your chair, you can kind of hold yourself there a little bit with your hands on your thigh. If you're on the floor, think of coming forward from your low back. Kind of use your hands there to pull yourself a little bit forward. It's not a deep forward bend. It wakes up both the back of the right leg and also your back a little bit. Good, and then we're going to come back up and we're going to switch legs. So just letting the other leg come long. And again, as you think of bringing yourself forward, just take your time, let yourself Feel the back of that leg gently come forward from your low back, so you're easing your way forward a little bit there. Again, it's not a big motion. And then come on back up. If you're on the floor, stretch both legs long. If you're in your chair, just let your feet come onto the floor here. We're going to twist. So taking an inhale here, and on the exhale, let's twist to our left. So bring your right hand maybe all the way around to your left knee. That back arm releases down exactly where it feels good for your shoulder. If you go the other way, it doesn't matter. We're going to go both ways. So just enjoy finding that twist in the middle of the back. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go in the other direction. So letting yourself, if you're on the floor, feel your heels on the ground. If you're in your chair, press down into your feet a little bit so you're engaged in your legs there. Good. One more inhale. And then let your exhale bring you on back around into center. Now, those of you on the floor for a seated forward bend, do what feels good to you, right? You can keep your legs long, or you can go back to crossing your legs if that feels better for you. So that as you come a little bit forward, up to you, how far. You know, if your legs are long, you want to reach for your toes, go forward. If you're in your chair and you want to bring your hands down towards the floor, you're welcome to do that, as long as your back feels good to do that. Same thing on the floor. If you have your hands on the floor, you can walk as far out as you want. And just breathe. Easy breaths. Let your head hang if possible. Let your face release, your jaw. One more breath. And then we'll easily make our way on back up. And get your legs however you want to be comfortable there. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now just slide your hands over to the right a little bit and tilt your head to the left. Let your left ear come towards your left shoulder a little bit. So you're just leaning away from the direction your hands are. And then come back through center and just go the other way. So whichever direction your hands go, let your head go the opposite. And let yourself release through the side of your neck there. And then we'll come on back into center again. And we'll unfold our arms here, shake out a little bit. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. Use your chair to put your hands on, or go down onto your forearms, either on the floor or on the blocks of the chair. So in other words, if it feels good to you to get out of your hands, then get out of your hands. If you're fine, to come onto flat hands, do. Just ease your way through your back. So think about your tailbone starting your movement, right? So remember, if you can think about as you draw the tailbone up under you, you pull the navel towards the spine and you round up into cat pose. And then when you inhale, you send your tailbone back. You feel how your belly drops down and your ribs and your heart. You can come into your cow. Doesn't matter whether you go a little bit or you decide you want to go a little deeper. You can make these really small, just a tiny little movement through the spine. And you're still warming up all those muscles alongside of your spine, and you're feeling that movement. Good. Finish off the one that you're on or that you're moving into. And then let's come back to more neutral spine. Look down there between your hands. We'll just bring our left foot on forward and step our right foot back and come into lunge. So, remember, you don't want to line your feet up like you're on a tightrope. You want to feel pretty good in your hips when you get into your lunge. How long you take your stance is up to you. Just make sure you don't bend this front knee farther forward than your ankle. Just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy opening up the back of your leg. Engage your belly a little bit. Good. And let's switch our legs out. So however you want to do that, remember you can step forward, you can step back, put your time again. Get your alignment where you feel good up into your hips there and you're not bending too far forward with that front knee. Good. Zip up your belly a little bit. Let yourself feel that when you press your feet away from each other, you feel a little more there up into your hips. And we're going to switch legs again. So this time, if you feel like rising your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can, but you don't need to. If you like to lift up a little bit there, you can, or you can keep both your hands down. And let's switch again. So again, once you get into your lunge, if the idea of bringing your right hand or your forearm up to your thigh feels good, you can. Good. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend. So really be mindful here. You know, if your back tells you that you should keep support under your hands or your forearms, do, right? Also, of course, you can bend your knees in your forward bend. Let yourself just come into where you feel just a nice, gentle stretch in the backs of your legs. Let your head hang if you can. Let yourself release there. And again, think of letting go of your jaw, which is often where we hold a lot of tension. So let yourself feel soft through your jaw. Sometimes just separating your teeth a little bit, letting your lips just very lightly be touching helps. One more full deep breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips as we press into our feet to rise up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So find your mountain pose, whatever you need to do that. If you need to look at your feet or walk in place a little bit, sometimes that feels good just to shift yourself back and forth a little. And then once you do come back into feeling even between your feet and your hands come gently to meet in front of your chest, bring your gaze on forward and out. From there, just turn your head to the right a little bit. Look over towards the right. Try not to let your left shoulder come forward, though. And then turn to look back to center again. And we'll turn to look to the left. And now try not to let your right shoulder follow you as you turn your head. And then come on back into center again. Feel your hands together there at your chest. And feel your feet equal into the ground. Thighs now gently lifting upward. Feeling that alignment of your pelvis where your tailbone's reaching down towards between your heels. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Let your shoulders release down though, away from your ears. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a flat back. Whether you like your hands to be on your legs somewhere, your shins or your thighs, or on your chair or on your blocks. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down, away from your ears now. Really feel your whole body in your lunge as you press your feet gently away from each other. Good, and we're going to come on into downward facing dog pose. So you know your down dog choice of where your hands are. If you're in your full dog with your hands on the floor, you're more like an upside down V. But if your hands are on the blocks of the chair, there's a little bit different angle going on there. So just take your time. Let yourself enjoy that length of your spine. Bend your knees if you need to, or walk a little bit, one knee at a time, bending if that feels good. Good, and then from our dog here, we'll come on out towards a plank. And you know you can go down to your forearms if you need to. You can put your knees down and do a half plank, or just don't go as far if it feels better for you not to go fully into a plank. You can do a little push-ups if you like. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Again, feeling that sense of being equally long through the sides of your body. Think of space in your spine here. You know, you can just imagine, you know how your vertebrae, how you're built in your back. So feel that length, sense of space between the vertebrae. And then we're going to bring our right foot forward and come into lunge. So whatever you need to do to get there, knee or knees down to get there, or coming up and back into lunge. Press the feet away from each other again like you're trying to lengthen your mat. But let yourself draw your shoulders away from your ears. And then we'll step forward again. Back into standing forward bend. So having completed that first sun salutation, see if you can let yourself release here. Let the backs of the legs just gently open up just from your torso coming forward. And if you're able to let your head hang, do, so that you can feel that sense of release for your neck. Good. And one more breath here. We'll let our hands come to our hips, bend our knees, and rise up to standing. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now try to keep your hands together. Bend your elbows and let your hands kind of come to the top or right to the back of the top of your head if possible. If not, they can go be right on top, depending on what your shoulders let you do. Now, if possible, let your elbows rise up a little bit so you can feel just the chin rising up slightly. Feel the tailbone still reaching towards between your heels. Make sure you're not tucking it under you. And then extend your arms back up long, and on your next exhale, open your arms wide and come on forward into standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that flat back. Again, wherever you like your hands to go. And this time, left foot steps back to come into lunge. And draw your shoulders down again. Find your whole body in your lunge. Really feel your legs, your hips, your spine. Good. We're going to come on back to down dog. So when you come into your down dog, be mindful again. If your hands, your shoulders don't feel right where your hands are, then change the height of your hands, you know. You might want to go down lower, or you might want to go up higher. It definitely changes how your shoulders feel. Elbows hug in towards each other. And we're going to come on out towards that plank again. And again, it is totally optional whether you come into forearm plank or put your knees down, do a half plank. If you like to bend your elbows and get a little more into your arms and your shoulders, you can. Or you can stay in that plank and find that core strength there. And then we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose again. And let yourself be easy. Walk a little bit. If your head can turn side to side easily, let that happen if it feels okay. Just releasing through your neck. And then come on back to your full dog again. And this time the left foot comes forward to come into lunge. And again, how you get it there is up to you. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet underneath us. And see about just getting comfortable enough where you can really just watch your breath. You don't feel any sense of discomfort anywhere. You feel those breaths coming in and going out very deeply and fully. Feeling the movement through the ribs as you inhale and exhale. And then we'll let our knees bend again and bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and bring our hands behind us. Clasp your hands there. And then just send your hands to the right. Maybe you can fold your left forearm onto your low back. See about squeezing your hands towards each other there. And then just bring your right ear a little towards your right shoulder. And then let yourself rise on back up, and we're going to go back through center and go with our hands to the left. Again, maybe you can fold your forearm there right onto your low back. See if you can squeeze your left palm into your right. Don't force anything if any of this hurts your shoulders. And then tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder so you get a little bit more there through the right side of your neck. And then we'll come on back up to the top with the head, release the hands on back down. Take a nice inhale, and on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now, you don't have to go very far. You can stay up higher, bend your knees, and let yourself just find a flat back there. You can keep going if you want, folding over your legs or even bringing your arms off your back if your shoulders let you do that. But be really mindful. Don't do it if it's too much. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down and let your next inhale help you find that flat back again. And this time we'll put our hands down so we can just walk into down dog. So you use the surface you like. Let yourself come back into down dog. Let your, again, hands be at a height where you feel good in your shoulders. Elbows hugging towards each other. And on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank. Now, remember from here, it's optional to do a back bend. You can stay in plank if you want. You can let yourself come down to the floor and do a little sphinx or a cobra or come through for an up dog. And then you can make your way back into downward facing dog pose. Ease your way back and be mindful here. Walk a little bit. We're going to do that one more time. So as you come forward towards that plank, again, it is totally optional whether you do a back bend. You can stay in plank. You can move through, down to the floor and up into a back bend, or come from the plank in towards an up dog. And then we'll make our way back again into down dog. Good. And then from here, we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge, however you need to get it there. Good, and then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Use the support that helps you. Remember, you can have your forearms in your chair. You can stack blocks up in your chair if you want to and be even higher. Or you can let your hands come down towards the blocks of the floor. Watching the breaths. All the way in, all the way out. One more breath here. And then as we bend our knees and press into our feet equally, we'll rise on up and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down. Think about the top of your head getting higher up towards the ceiling. So now you have a lot of space in your spine. Our sun salutation's got every part of the body really warmed up. Find that alignment of your pelvis so you feel very easy about the way you're standing. Feeling stacked up there, letting yourself bring your gaze, whether your eyes are opened or closed, out like you're looking at the horizon. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. Move through your feet and your ankles do. And I'm going to turn my chair around. If you don't have a chair, just make sure you have your blocks handy there, okay? And we're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior Two. Getting our heels lined up and getting that back foot at that angle that feels good for us, right? You can be parallel to the back edge of the mat. You can, send your heel back a little further if that feels fine to you. But go ahead, bend that front knee, look at it. Make sure that you're not letting that that knee go out beyond your toes. Let yourself from there start to rise your gaze up, float your arms up, and let them come up higher and higher above your shoulders till then you just want to turn your palms to face each other. So let the palms face each other. You're up in this wide V. Feel your feet equal in the floor. And then turn the palms away from each other and start to lower them down so that when you now start to look out over the top of your hand, it feels just right. You got this feeling of a lot of space in the back of your neck and throat. So you're not lowering your chin, but you're not lifting it, right? So it's like you have back of the throat long, really. And then from here, we'll turn our left palm up. If you can fold your right arm and put it on your low back, do. And then inhale and reach up towards the sky with the left hand. Really breathing into the left side. Now, think of your outer left hip dropping down a little bit. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come into your side angle where you either put your hand or your forearm onto your thigh or your chair. Let that right arm lay down on the right side of your body for a second. Just let it be long and leave it there for a breath. Good. And then imagine you're just going to trail your right fingertips up the right side of your body by your ribs, kind of tickles, in front of your shoulders, by your ear there. And then just lengthen it long if you can. Now, if your shoulder doesn't let you do that, don't worry. Don't do it. Put your hand back down. See if you can just allow yourself to feel long through both sides of the body. Nice. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Let your feet press gently away from each other. Feel that ease of reaching out through your fingertips. Feel equal through your arms, all the way out through your hands. And then we're going to bring our hands down, and we're going to find lunge here. So bringing your hands, maybe you want to use your blocks, maybe you want to use your chair. You can be up on the seat or the back of the chair, or you can go down lower, hands to the blocks there. And then we'll add a twist of left hand coming to our left hip, rolling that shoulder up and letting ourselves come into twist here. Now, you can keep your hand down. And then once you find that you're fairly level there, you can keep the hand there, or you can stretch the arm up if you want to. Depends on your shoulders. So take your time. And then just release to come on back down. And now just straighten that front leg out. And not a real pyramid. Just let the right heel just go back where it wants to go. So you stretch out the backs of both your legs a little bit there. And you're kind of extending your torso out over that front leg. Good. And then we're going to bend that front knee and step forward. Get our feet right under us. So adjust however you need to get your feet underneath you. And then we'll bend our knees and press into our feet and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down as we think of floating up through the top of the head. So you're feeling so lightheaded, like your head's in the clouds, right? But your feet are grounded, like that's the base of your mountain. And then everything, once it lines up, so easy to be in your mountain pose. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms on down again beside us. Move around if you need to. We're going to do the other side. So again, I'm going to turn my chair around, but make sure you have your blocks there if you need them. Or step our left foot back this time. And again, as you line up your heels, doesn't matter if your feet are 2 feet apart, or 3 feet, or 4 feet. It's that alignment of that front knee. So looking and making sure your knee is aligned right over the center of your foot there. You can hold your chair if you need for balance. We're going to start to rise our arms up higher and higher above our shoulders. Once they get up there, turn your palms to face each other. And imagine your arms are growing out of your back. Right? So you're not holding up, the tops of the shoulders are not lifting up. They're actually dropping down. And when your palms face each other, you can feel these muscles that come around under your arms, really. And then turn your palms away from each other and start to lower them down into your Warrior Two arms, bringing your gaze right there over the top of your right hand. So again, try to feel equal through your arms all the way out into your hands. Good. And then from here, we'll turn the right palm up. If you can fold your left arm behind you do onto your low back and reach straight up. Now, once you get your hand up there, you don't have to look. If it bothers your neck, you can stay looking forward. But see if you can imagine kind of dropping the outer right hip down a little bit. Now that sounds a little odd, but that'll really get the knee lined up. On the next exhale, we're going to come into that side angle where we either put our hand or our forearm on our thigh or our chair. And let your left arm just lie there on the side of your body. So it feels like pretty good. It's relaxed, released there. And now using this left hand to trail up by your ribs, that's up to you. If your shoulder lets you, let your fingertips come by your ribs in front of your left shoulder, by your left ear. And then when you extend it long, the palm faces down. You can even let your pinky turn a little more down towards the ground. Feeling long through both sides of your body, feeling that sense of length through your spine. Strong in your legs as well. Good, we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. So let the feet press gently away from each other, finding that core strength. And then we'll let our hands come down. Again, we're coming into lunge. So you may want to get your blocks under your hands. You may want to use your chair back or your chair seat. Find your lunge well there. And then bring your right hand to your right hip and just roll that shoulder on up. Now, you can let your palm be on your sacrum, and you can make sure you're not dropping into the left side of the body there. So, and you can stay hand down. If you like to try stretching your arm up, and sometimes this is pretty telling, right? Your shoulders, you might feel really different from one side to the other in that lifting of the arm up. And then just come on down, bring your hand on back down to your lunge. We're going to step forward. So adjust your feet to get them right underneath you. And then go ahead and bend your knees, press into your feet, come on up to standing, and let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And again, see if you can just imagine how light you are in your head here. But you're grounded through your feet. Remember, you don't want to feel like you're locking your knees. If you press your feet into the floor and kind of imagine you're just drawing up with your thighs, your knees can still be even a little bit bent, right? But you feel that sense of being very grounded and strong in the lower half of your body and pretty light and airy in the upper half of your body. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us. Shake out again. Move around however you want to. And again, if you are using your chair, it can stay turned with the back of you towards you. But have your blocks handy. We're going to step our right foot back for Warrior One now. So this means the shoulders are going to stay square to the front of your mat. The right foot might want to widen to the side a little bit. You might want a broader stance, a wider stance. You may not. You may want your heels in line. But feel pretty good. If you're in a short stance, your hips are probably pretty square, right? So you don't want to open out like this on purpose. You want to draw your shoulders around. Don't force this hip pointer, but let it be okay. And then just let your arms come down for a second. Feel really grounded through your feet equally, even though this front knee is bent and the back leg is straight. See about trying to feel equal from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. And now we're going to let our right arm circle. We'll bring it forward and up overhead. Reach it behind us as far as we can and let it come on back down. And we'll do the left arm, same thing. Inhaling, rising the arm up and overhead and back as far as you can behind you to circle down. Now let's do both together. Inhaling, rising the arms up. And then exhaling as they come down and let yourself reach back. And keep inhaling them forward and up overhead. Now you can be wide V here in your Warrior One. You can have the arms more over your head. Over your shoulders, so that you don't have them quite as far apart. But you want to feel good in your shoulders here. You might want to look up a little bit. Feel a lift right at the base of your shoulder blades, letting yourself feel right here is the lift. At the base of the shoulder blades, you don't feel any kind of compression in your low back. You don't have to look up. You can stay looking forward and be perfectly happy. So one more breath here. Really feel like there's energy coming out through your fingertips if you can. And then we're going to lower our arms on down beside us. And we're going to turn sideways on our mat. You might want your blocks because we are going to come forward for a wide-legged forward bend. So bend your knees. If you feel better to put your elbows above your knees and lengthen out that way, do it. If it feels really good for you to stay there instead of putting your hands down towards a block or the floor, you can stay with your elbows above your knees and let yourself be in the squat there. Or you can bring your hands down to the floor or a block. Some of you will want to bend a knee at a time, I know. So If that feels good, you can let one knee bend and then the other. If it bothers your knees, don't do it. And then when you're ready to come back in the center, you do what you need to do. If you have two blocks, you can stack them up and get out of your hands by putting your forearms on the blocks. Or you can let yourself, keep yourself supported, elbows above your knees, or hands on the blocks, and that's better. And now see if you can just go to be with your breath. So following the breath all the way in and all the way out. Imagine that you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose, both when you inhale and exhale. One more breath. Now be really mindful when you start to head back up to standing. If you know you're a little bit dizzy, you can keep your feet wider so that you give your head time to adjust when you get up, right? You can walk your feet together whenever you want. So just take it easy, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit, and we're going to come to the other side. So this time as you come towards the front of your mat, you're going to step your left foot back. Again, how far you step back, 2 feet, 3 feet, doesn't matter. If you need to be a little bit wider for balance sake, do. This back foot is turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. It's not a big turnout, not like Warrior 2, right, where you're here. Instead, the heel kind of travels backward a little bit. And then, as you get your shoulders square, let your arms hang. Feel, again, if you can, like you're equal from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. And now you really challenge your core body here when you start these arm movements. Left arm is going to come forward and up overhead. And then it's going to reach back behind you, which really makes you really engage your belly deeper. And then we'll go to the other side. Right arm's going to come forward and up, reaching back behind you. Feel your belly, your low back, and your hip. And we'll do both. Bringing the arms on up. Now, if you can't reach back, do what you can, where your shoulders let you go. And then the next time the arms come forward and up, we're going to stay there. So you can be wide in a V. You can have your arms forward if you need to. There's no right or wrong, right? You want to just feel where you can in your Warrior 1, where you feel that sense of, again, being equal through your legs and then feeling maybe a little bit of an uplift there if you look up a little bit. But feeling that strength, that core strength in your Warrior 1, your belly, your low back, your hips. One more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on back down again. We're going to turn sideways again. And again, wide-legged forward bend means trying to get your feet at least a little as wide as your shoulders or a little wider. And then when you come down, again, if you like your blocks, fine. If you'd like to bring your elbows above your knees, fine. Let yourself adjust your stance as you start to bend a knee at a time. If you want to get a little wider, do. If you want to get a little less wide, do. Okay? Be really mindful. Bend the knees if you need to in this pose, remember. And then take your time to set up to be with your breath. So if you can, let yourself follow your breath in and out and see if you can focus on counting your breaths. So inhale 1, exhale 2. So let your inhale be a count and your exhale be a count. And see if you can get up to 5 or 6. And then see if you can start to go backwards from there. So you're totally focused on those numbers, right? Breathing with the count. ready to start to rise up. Be really mindful. Take your time to rise on up. And again, if you're dizzy a little bit, be easy. Walk your feet together and move around a little bit. So move through your feet and your ankles. Yeah. Good. Let's leave our mats where they are. But we are going to walk to a wall, okay? And you don't really need anything with you. You just need to be able to get to a wall where you can put a hand on a wall or a bookcase or whatever works, right? Yeah, that's fine. So we'll bring our left hand towards a wall. And then from here, think about crossing your right ankle either in front of your left ankle. It can stay low. Or you can cross it above your knee and bend your left knee and send your hips back a little bit. So we're, trying to come towards a figure four, but if that's too much for your hips, don't do it. If you can bend that knee and come forward a little bit, do. Let yourself enjoy opening up through the hip there. You'll feel both your supporting left hip, right? And then you'll also feel your right hip. So you can stay there just for another breath or two. Just enjoy. Good, and then come on back up, and we're going to turn around right away and just go to the other side. So you're standing on your right foot. Left ankle can cross in front of the other right ankle, or you can put the ankle above your knee, and you can sit back a little bit if possible. So bend that supporting knee a little bit. Let yourself come a little forward, waking up the hips, strengthening for the legs and the hips right here. Good. One more breath. And then come on back up. We're going to turn back to left hand towards the wall. Get close to the wall here, a little bit closer, not all the way in. And then cross your right ankle up in front of your left ankle. So you're just crossed to the ankles here. And your right foot is trying to get all the way to the floor. Right? So you're like crossing over and putting the right foot on the floor. Yeah. And now bring your right arm up overhead and just lean into the wall and come into a nice side stretch there. So you can use your head in the wall. If you feel like you're too close to the wall, you want to be further, just adjust yourself away. Or if you need to be closer, adjust closer. And just breathe into the right side here. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on up. We're going to turn around. And we're going to come into crossing the left ankle in front. So again, as you bring yourself into that kind of crossing ankle in front of ankle, and the foot's on the floor there, left arm's going to come up overhead, and then you're just going to lean towards the wall. If you can rest your head on the wall, it feels really good to rest your head. You can let your right arm hang down. There's a huge stretch through the left sideways, even down into the IT band here, the outside of that right leg. Good. And one more breath here. And now as you come back up, let's face the wall, okay? See if you can, now this is hard, I can only do this on one foot. If I keep my foot on the floor, but I curl my left toes as much as I can up the wall, but keep the ball of my foot into the floor, my other foot won't do this at all, so if your foot won't do it, just put the tips of your toes on the wall, all right? And then bend that left knee. Right foot is only going to be maybe, 18 inches behind you for now, with the heel on the ground, and like a little mini lunge. Once you bend that left knee towards the wall, you're going to try to feel a stretch in your right calf mainly, right? So you might want to stay really short. You may go, oh, well, I want to step my foot a little further back. You do want to keep the right heel on the floor and zip up your belly a little bit. So the right heel stays grounded. And you let yourself come into where you can be. Don't force it. Just a little nice stretch for your calf. Good. So one more breath here. And you can support your head. You can make a little pillow with your hands if you want. Support your head, right? And we're going to come on back out of this because we're going to go to the other side. So again, feet are different. You know, this one might be more cooperative or less as far as your toes curling up the wall. And then, of course, when you bend that right knee towards the wall and you keep your left heel on the ground and you zip up your belly, you can get a little stretch there through the back of that leg, mainly the calf. If it doesn't feel good, shorten it. If you want it to be longer, make it longer. That's totally up to you. Good. Nice. And then when you're ready, let yourself step on back. Let's do a down dog at the wall. So, you know, you can, if your hands bother you, when you start to think about coming about parallel to the floor with your body, you can go to fists, right? So don't do something that puts because this is really a deep wrist crease in your hand. But think about lengthening back through that tailbone. Let yourself just enjoy. Knees can be bent, you know. Down dog can be done. Remember, it's your kitchen counter. It's a great pose to do to lengthen out your spine. Think about your heart melting down towards the ground. Good. Nice. One more breath there. And then walk yourself on back in towards the wall. Good. Shake it out a little bit. And let's come down, back to our mats, and come down onto our bellies on the floor. So coming on and letting yourself just release all the way down. And you can make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead. And once you get ready, you can bend your knees and just play around with your feet back there. They can circle. You can go side to side with your lower legs like those windshield wiper blades, if that feels good. But just be mindful, let it feel good. And then let your knees come farther apart, like they're coming towards the outer edges of your mat a little more. And now your feet are just going to come to meet each other right back there. They don't have to go down towards the floor. They can be up in the air and just kind of supporting each other. If you want the feet to come down a little more towards the floor, you can. If not, don't do it. Right? You're trying to let your hips release here. So it's up to you whether you like the feet to go down towards the floor at all, or if you like to keep them up and just it'll still release your hips. Good. One more breath. And then let the feet come back up, and then one at a time, kind of bring your legs back underneath you again, and let's come into long legs here. Then come onto our forearms. And come into a Sphinx Pose, letting your palms face down, spreading your fingers a little bit, really letting yourself feel your hands on the ground there. And remember, if this bothers your back, go lower. Slide your elbows more towards your waist if that feels better, so that you're not so high. You're still using your back body. You're in a bit of a back bend here. So just breathe where you're able to be. And then from here, bend your knees, flex your feet, lift your hips up so you're in a half forearm plank and you're on the flesh above your knees. Your hands are still apart. You're pressing into your forearms. You'll feel your belly engaging here. You can imagine that you're like wanting to pull yourself to the front of the mat, so try doing that. Feel what really happens there so that you get even deeper into your belly and your hips and your back. One more breath, and then come on down, and let's, from here, if you can, roll onto your left side and you're up on your forearm, draw your knees forward. So your knees are bent, and get your elbow, your left elbow, really under your shoulder, and see if you can send your left hand a little towards the front right corner of your mat. So there's a little bit of an angle there. And don't do anything else. If this is you're already going, oh man, my shoulder does not like this. Don't do it, okay? If you want a little more, you can stretch your top right leg down long and reach your right arm up, straight up from your shoulder, coming into a little side plank variation there. So you can extend that top leg and let yourself feel nice and long. And then go ahead and bend your knee, bring yourself back to there. Good. Now if you want even more, you can use your right hand on the floor and pick your hips up a little bit. So you're really coming into the shoulder. Don't do that if it's too much. Right? Good. So come on back down. If anybody really wants more, you can stretch your bottom leg long, put your right foot on the floor, and then lift your hips up and add that top arm. Not necessary to do that. If you want more,
Yeah, no.
we're going to come down. We're going to roll to the other side. So letting yourself just come on. And again, as you bring your knees forward, right, you want to get that elbow under your shoulder. So that, the alignment of that. Because if your arm's out like this, that's really hard on your shoulder. You can't develop that strength. You want the elbow right under your shoulder and this right hand to come a little towards that left front corner of your mat. And now, maybe it's not so bad, right? To stay right here. You can let yourself just stay with your hips on the floor. If you like to stretch the top leg out, you can. And you can bring that top arm straight up from your shoulder. And there is a variation. Are you on the wrong side? Okay.
I thought I was when I looked at her. I was sure she was.
And then again, let yourself come back with knees forward. Now, you don't have to do anything else. You're already strengthening your shoulder here. If you want to lift your hips up and down a little bit, you get more into the shoulder a little bit there, and you might go, yeah, no, I don't want any more, so that's fine. And then, of course, that last final one is extending the bottom leg out, putting the top foot on the floor, and then lifting your hips up. But if you're pressing into that foot, it's a little easier. And then we're going to come on back down. We're going to come back to our bellies. Bring your arms right down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And then from here, float your head and your legs up a little bit. And let your hands stay down. Feel as open as you can across your chest. Give your shoulders a little bit of time to relax there. And then release back down from your locus there. Take a breath into your low back. And then the next time you inhale, see if you can lift up your hands and your legs and your chest, and so that you're reaching fingertips and toes back towards the foot of your mat. Strengthening the back here. Good. And then we're going to come down and we're going to shift back towards child's pose. Now, child's pose for some of us needs for us to be forward so that our hips are up in the air, so our knees aren't so bent. So you need to be really mindful of how this one feels for you. If shifting your hips back more towards your heels feels good, you can. Everybody's knees don't do that. So be where you're able to be. Let yourself feel a release for your back and your hips, however you're able to do that. And bring your breath into your low back. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to let ourselves rise up to sitting. So take your time. Come on around. And actually, you guys, because your mats are turned that way, turn to face that wall and widen your legs out. Okay? Now, you may want to grab a blanket. If you want to sit up on a blanket for a wide angle here in your legs. Now, remember, wide is different for every one of us. So some of us, we may have more like of a 90-degree angle in our legs here, so they're not as far apart, but you do want your knees and your toes to be able to face up. And then some of you are built to where your legs come wider apart and it feels good, right? And you're able to sit up tall. So you do want to be able to really lengthen up through the top of your head. Good. Now from here, see about coming a little bit forward, right? Hands can come to the floor. You can let yourself walk out a little farther if you want to. Think about coming forward from your low back. Feel your inner thighs. And then if your feet are close enough together, you might even want to reach out and get your toes. You know, that's different for all of us. If your feet are farther apart, that's like harder to do, right? So just be mindful. Let yourself open up through your inner thighs. Obviously, this is hamstring too, so be really mindful. Good adjustment back there. Good. And then come on back up. Let your hands come behind you. See if you can turn your tips of your fingers backwards, okay? And then just draw your chest a little bit forward. Open up through the chest here. Let yourself just enjoy opening through the front body. Feeling that lift at the base of your shoulder blades, really. Good, and then we're going to come back up and we're going to bring our right hand to our right leg and slide it on down. See, as you slide your hand down, go as far as you want, your ankle or your foot, whatever, but let your left shoulder draw up towards the ceiling. So you're coming into a side stretch there. And if you want, you can keep your left hand on your hip there. You can rise it up and let it kind of rest on your ribs if that feels good. You can put your hand behind your head if you want to. Or you can stretch your arm long into that side stretch. So that's up to you. Coming into the side stretch where you're able to be. Don't force anything. Just let the breath come into the left ribs there. And then we're going to slowly start to come on back up to the top. And right away, just put that left hand down and come over to the left. And again, right hand can just stay there up on your hip. Drawing the right shoulder up a little bit so you feel more of a side stretch. Or you can put your hand on your head, behind your head, or on your ribs. Or of course, if you like stretching that arm long, do. Good. And one more breath here. And now when you come up this time, we're going to come forward again. So let yourself, again, if you want to put your hands in front of you or put a block in front of you, do. Making your way forward with that long back. And I know some of you, I mean, if you're built as such where it feels really good to go farther forward, then go ahead and go. But if you know it's not in your body to do that, stay where you need to be. Good. And one more breath here. And then start to come on back up. And let your legs come together. We're going to turn so where we're on our mat with our feet towards the front of the mat again. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time, get down however you need to get down there. Bring your knees on in towards your chest when you do. And you can either let knees go side to side or circle them if that feels good. What feels good, maybe even letting just the knees come away from you and back in. What will feel the best for you is like up to you, right? See how your back feels and your hips. Good, and then go ahead and bring your feet to the floor just easily where they're comfortable. And bring your arms out beside you into like a T position. Turn your palms up. Let your arms relax for a second. And then give yourself a hug with your left arm on top of your right. Now, laying on your back like this, you can really feel your shoulders, right? So even just this hugging, you can feel what your shoulder blades there on the back, on your back, on the ground there. You can go into an eagle wrap. If you want to send the backs of your hands towards each other, you can come into that wrap. Or you can let yourself stay hugging. Just let the back naturally align. So in other words, don't try doing a pelvic tilt. Don't try to tuck your tailbone up. Just let your back do its natural curves there. And then unwind and come back into that T position with your arms again. Let yourself relax the arms totally. And then we'll come on up to bring right arm on top of the left and give a hug. So, you can hug more towards your armpits. You can go up over the tops of your shoulders. You can stay there. You don't have to come into sending the backs of the hands towards each other into that eagle wrap unless you want to. And then we're going to release and unfold the arms back out on the floor. And now lower your arms down beside you on the floor. Turn your palms down towards the ground. Press into your arms a little bit. Set your feet up for bridge pose. And then when you're ready, just float your hips up. Keep pressing into the backs of your arms. If you want to roll your shoulders under more once you get up a little bit, do. And if you're like, okay, I want to just barely come up and stay for a breath and go back down, do. Or if you want to grab one of your blocks and come up into supported bridge, feel free to do that. So just play with your bridge pose a little bit. Let it feel good. Feel free to go up and down. Feel free to come down and readjust your feet if you don't feel quite right. Sometimes just changing your feet, like how far away from you they are before you press up into bridge, feels good. So be mindful and move up and down if you need. Stay supported on the block if you want. Remember, in bridge pose, you'll feel your quads. You certainly don't want to feel any kind of discomfort in your back in bridge pose. It's really more feeling your legs. You're opening both the front and the back of your body when you come into bridge. Your top buttock muscles are reaching down towards your knees. And good. Finish off when you're ready. You can come all the way back down to the floor. Bring your right knee on into your chest then, and extend your left leg down long on the floor. Just let it feel good. Now from here, see if you can just use your hands to bring the knee a little to one side and then the other. So, the knee, you just use your hands to bring the knee to the right a little bit more, and then to the left a little bit more. Let it be really easy. Just finding that little gentle movement in your hip. And then come back to where the knee's at center, and we're going to bring the left knee in and extend the right leg down long. So flex through both your feet, so you feel that little action up into your hips. And then see again if you can use your hands to bring the knee over to the left and over to the right. Your own timing, Just depends on you how far you want to go with these side-to-side movements. How your hips feel. And then come on back with the knee to center. Let's bring our right knee in too. And go ahead and separate your knees and come in towards the soles of the feet coming towards each other. You can either put your hands on your shins or your ankles. If you like, to hold your feet, you can. That's totally up to whether your knees and hips let you do that. Just enjoy, feel, and this will allow the back to release into the floor. You'll feel your low back releasing into the floor. Letting yourself release in your hips. Good. And then come on back, knees to center, feet to the floor, arms out beside you, and let your knees come side to side. If you want to widen your feet out to do these little twists, you can. If you like having your feet closer together, just do that. It really depends on you which one feels better. And you may want to stay on one side and kind of hang out before you switch, or you might want to just continuously let the knees come up and over to the side. Start to listen to your body though. There might be something else entirely that you need to do. So be mindful. If anything else your body just wants to do it, let it do it. It doesn't have to be yoga pose, right? It can be any movement or pose that sounds good to you. It can be just some kind of wiggling in your body that you feel like you need to do. And take your time and just listen to what your body naturally wants to do. And that could be anything, another hip opener, or another twist, or even just stretching out long. Starting to head around to get lights here, and then I would love to bring anything that's going to help you be more comfortable. You need to adjust it, do you? So take your time, let yourself just appreciate the ground underneath you. You know, if you need to move your arms or legs a little bit to get more comfortable with how you have them, there's no right or wrong. Just let yourself kind of feel the arms and legs go to a place where you can release into your shoulders and your hips. Let your face feel soft and relaxed all around your mouth, all around your eyes. And just be with the wave of your breath. Just watching in and out. And whatever helps you to keep refocusing back to your breath, whether you like to count your breaths or think a word or a mantra, just easily let yourself keep coming back. Finding those little places of quietness. Giving yourself time to benefit from all you just did. And just letting yourself completely and fully relax. like physically moving again, whether you like your fingers and toes to wiggle and move and come on up into your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs, or move the way you need. If you need to bring your knees in towards your chest or stretch everything out, just take your time. You know you're welcome to stay there on your back and give yourself a little longer, or to roll to your right or your left side with your knees soft into a easy fetal position there. You can always use your arm as a pillow or a blanket. Just so when you feel ready to rise up, it feels like the next natural thing to do to want to get upright again. And let your eyes stay closed if possible so that you can keep your focus internal. Sitting however is comfortable. If you need to grab a blanket, do. If you need to let your legs stretch or sit cross-legged, just be comfortable in your hips. Let your head get that feeling of being light up there again if you can. Really feeling the top of the head reaching upward. Watching your breath coming in and going out. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come gently to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Middle of the week. Hopefully, middle of not another storm to be had. Everything's just